I did so. But most importantly, I am here to stand up for my honor and my integrity. I went to the last Trips and Travel Committee meeting to tender my resignation, but before I could do so, I was confronted by Roxy Newman, the new chairman, Jeff Nauman, the treasurer, and Gary Braun, president of TMAC, stating that the audit that was done in mid-February showed that I had done a really, really, really bad thing. I had broken the TMAC rule that states no one on a TMAC committee can receive any compensation. And guess what? I did that. I surely did that. I knew it was the rule, and I ignored it. Why they waited a month to speak to me about this, I have no idea. At any rate, I immediately and readily admitted that I had received compensation, and not only that, I told them that I had participated in other members of my committee receiving compensation. But wait, it gets worse. I told them that not only had I participated in rewarding my trip leaders, but my treasurer, who had never run a trip, also got compensation, as did her husband. This is not an accusation. As the previous chairman, I am simply stating that this occurred, which can easily be determined by examining the income reflected on each trip. I was not dishonest, nor secretive. I simply broke the rules. I finally asked what they wanted from me, at which time the new committee chairman told me she wanted my resignation from the committee effective immediately. Since I already had my resignation letter prepared, I agreed and was finally allowed to read my previously prepared letter of resignation. I read my letter and left so that they could begin their meeting. If I had not already had my letter of resignation in place, I would have protested that the rules regarding someone's removal, as outlined by TMAC bylaws, were broken. The rules were broken. Those rules state that if a person is to be removed, they must receive a 10-day written notice. They are then given an opportunity to be heard by the TMAC board, and if they are to be removed, it must be by 3/4 vote. I would have protested that had been given 45 minutes notice that my presence was required an hour before the meeting.
Penny?
Yes.
Your 3 minutes are up. Are you ready to wrap it up?
I'm sorry?
I say your 3 minutes are up. Are you about ready to wrap up, or you got?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Ron
Thank you, Ron.
takes his 3 minutes out. Continue.
Okay, I'm just trying to find my place. I would have protested that had been given 45 minutes notice that my presence was required an hour before the meeting. I would protest that a vote for my resignation had not been taken by the committee. However, since my resignation was already in place, it was a moot point, and it was just time to stop the toxicity and vilification and move on. Rules were broken everywhere. I was told that the fact that I had received compensation came to light through an annual audit. I have been able to verify that in fact was not the case. The annual audit was not a trip-by-trip inspection which showed who was compensated, but rather just a checks and balances audit. This can be borne out by the fact that no other trip committee, nor my treasurer, who were also compensated, were questioned. This was dishonest. Typically, compensation refers to monetary payment given to an individual in exchange for their services. But compensation is not always in cash. Compensation can be a free meal, a free breakfast. It can be shirts given to a committee members paid out of for the treasury. It can be free tickets or free admittance to a dance or a special event. In other words, if you do not pay full value for something, you have, in essence, taken compensation. I did that. I broke the rule. I took compensation in the form of trips. I never hid it. It was done openly and in full view of my committee and with their concurrence. I also, on occasion, was rewarded in the form of a gift from a grateful traveler. By the same token, I refused monetary gifts that were offered as tips. Oh, and someone bought my dinner once, and I received free drinks. I also met with a Colette travel agent in Lake Wales, and she bought my lunch. So, where else does this compensation come from? Compensation is everywhere within the travel industry. It's a common, well-accepted practice. You can call it a bribe, you can call it compensation, or a reward. But most of all, companies and cruise lines offer incentives or compensations for selling their company's trip. Usually it's based upon the number of travelers you supply, and the more times you use that company, the bigger the compensation. Sometimes you can take this compensation and spread it among your travelers, and sometimes you cannot. Sometimes, if the trip leader does not take the compensation, it is lost, and the company just pockets more money.
Penny,
While rebuilding the Trips and Travel Committee
Penny,
over the...
can I interrupt you again?
Okay.
Your 3 minutes are up again, so
They
how
are.
much, you have much left?
May I continue?
I don't have anything here for Debbie. Did you have a fill-out sheet, Debbie? Okay. Go ahead, Penny.
Thank you. While rebuilding the Trips and Travel Committee over the past 3 years, I have researched and organized 50 trips. I was trip leader and led 35 of those trips. During this time, Frank and I traveled all over the state of Florida and bordering states to check out sites and venues and scope out hotels for possible trips. Some materialized and some were not feasible. On behalf of the Trips and Travel Committee, at considerable expense, we traveled to DeLand, Miami, Destin, and Ocala. We traveled to Key West area on 2 separate occasions. We also traveled to Charleston, Savannah, St. Augustine, and Macon, Georgia. We never once submitted a bill to the committee to cover any of our expenses. We did not ask for reimbursement for gas, hotel, meals, or tolls. Indeed, when I started, there wasn't even a treasury. When I first began with Trips and Travel, there was literally no committee. It had more or less become defunct. There was Sharon Gilmore and Judith Miller, and that was it. For the first 2 years, there were only 5 or 6 people on the committee. I was the only one who led or put together any trips. This past year, 4 other people put together a trip and led that trip. One person ran a trip that I had put together. She just ran the trip, and she got a free trip. Most trips that we ran made money, some more than others, and some trips lost money. Over time, money built up in the treasury that was not earmarked for trips specifically. It was just an excess money. It was from this money that free trips for the trip leaders came about. This money also bought candy, drinks, videos, supplies, and was used to subsidize trips that lost money or to lower the cost of trips as to make them more affordable. The treasurer was given her trips not because she led a trip, but simply because she put an inordinate amount of time into working for the committee. I do not know how the husband's trips came about to be, and I did not know about those trips until the season was over. nor did the committee sanction them. On every single trip, travelers were assessed $3 to $3.50 each to pay for the bus driver's trip. Never, ever was anyone assessed any money to pay for a trip leader's trip. All expenses for a trip were deducted from the money built into the Treasury. So, the question...
Penny?
Yes?
Deb, you've got a sheet now? And you're waiving your 3 minutes? Okay.
Thank you.
Continue, Penny.
So, the question is, was I entitled to do this? No, I was not. Did I know the rule? Yes. My bad. The question then becomes, well, duh, why did you do it? The answer is very simple. Trips and Travel is a very unique committee in that it is the only committee that requires its members to spend their money to serve you. The more a trip leader serves you, the more it will cost them. I could have not provided you with as many trips as I did if I had not had compensation. I simply could not have afforded to pay for that many trips in addition to expenses. Did I deserve to be reprimanded for breaking the rules? Absolutely. Did I deserve to be asked to resign from the committee, which infers that I had been dishonest and secretive or somehow misappropriated funds? I don't believe so. But you're the second jury of my peers, so it is up to you to decide. Did I deserve to have my honor, integrity, and honesty impugned? Absolutely not. Would I do it again? Yeah, I'd do it again. I didn't do this just because it made it more affordable for Frank and I, but simply because we could not have been able to afford to offer you so many trips. I have thoroughly enjoyed growing the Trips and Travel Committee, and I have especially enjoyed seeing you all have a good time. That was the best compensation of all. In closing, finally, I thank you for coming today, and I appreciate your time and your patience in listening to the explanation of what I did and allowing me the opportunity to stand up for my honesty, my integrity, and my reputation. I am done. Thank you all. It's very hard to be 82 years old and be called upon to defend your integrity. So thank you very much. It means more to me than you will ever know. And I am done. Thank you.
Thank you, Penny. Let me just make a few comments, I guess. First of all, and I said this at the committee meeting the other day, I wanted to thank the two of you for putting all those trips together. There's a lot of people that had benefited in this park from the trips that you put together. And so I don't think we basically are concerned about your integrity. I think everybody feels that you did a great job. You chose not to continue to be the chair. So you gave that position up, and Roxy is now the new chair. The fact that we discovered, I guess, and Jeff came to me after, he went through some work there to get ready for the audit, came to me, and we sat down and went through some of the numbers, and that's when we decided that you should be called in and discussed with you. And you kind of explained what all happened, so I'm not going to go back into that. But basically, as I mentioned, when there's an indiscretion someplace, we try to deal with it privately. Usually the chairperson will talk to that person first, and then I may get involved second. If that person disagrees with the dismissal, then it would come to the board for a decision. When it comes to the board, that is when we take the 10-day notice, goes out to the board members, goes out to the individual, and then indicating that we will be taking a vote. At which time you come to the next meeting, we then take a paper ballot and we do the vote. We have done that in the past. just very recently. So that's where the 10 days comes in. It does not come in at the committee level. We basically start at the committee level and try to resolve it there. If it happens to be a chairperson, then I will talk to that chairperson and talk to them about the discretion. And usually it's not that individual person, but it might be somebody on their committee that I've asked them to talk to. So I've done that as well this past year, where we've had some things going on in the committee that was inappropriate, and we discussed it, and I met with the chairperson, and we dealt with it. So that's just to clarify how the 10 days works. The 10 days works if you are not satisfied with the committee chair asking your dismissal. It then becomes a board issue. We do the 10 days, we take a vote at the board level. So does that clarify that for you?
I just have one question. So, according to what I heard you just say, this discrepancy or this infraction was not discovered during the audit as you stated at the meeting. It was discovered because Jeff, the treasurer, brought it to you. Is that correct?
When he was going through the books preparing for the audit.
No, I'm sorry. He knew it all along. He was my treasurer. He knew it all along. Let's not go there. Let's be honest.
Okay. Well, he came to me about the same time we were doing the audit.
So it was not, in February. He came to you in February because that's when the audit was done.
I don't remember the exact date.
That's what you told me. The audit was done in mid-February.
I don't remember last date. Roxy?
It was in February.
Yes.
And Penny?
Yes.
We tried to keep this private, but you decided to turn this into a circus.
That's why I brought it public, because I
And
did not want it to be private.
I think the
so
people-
here's the thing, Roxy.
Nope.
Roxy, I'm not coming down there with you. I have said my piece, which is all I want to do. I'm not getting into the garbage. Thank you for your time, but I am done as far as I'm concerned. My people have heard me. I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Frank, I still have your slip. Do you want to make some comments? You have 3 minutes.
My wife doesn't want me to be nasty. I am Frank Arilli, a former member of the Trips and Travel Committee, and I do want to thank everybody because I truly, truly enjoyed being part of the committee and running the trips. Are you through, Roxanne? Okay. It was a pleasure, like I said, to assist and have all the people in our community enjoy these trips. However, something has happened. A can of worms is open. Something that was beautiful and fun and enjoyable has turned to be ugly and dishonest. We are not dishonest people. We put a lot of time into these trips. We went everywhere. We didn't complain. We knew what these things had to be done. If you're going to do something successful, it has to have research done. The military has a statement that says, it's all these P statements. Perfect planning prevents piss poor performance. So we knew we had to do a lot of work to get these things. Also, simply, a can of worms has been opened. It has put several of these chairs in a precarious situation because free things are given as a reward. So please don't confuse rewards with compensation. Rewards are for people who go out on their own and work hard and spend their own money at their own expense. Compensation is purposely going to a place and they say, here's a jacket for you, or here's tickets to a ball game, and they want to win you over monetarily somehow. There is a statement that I have to say. I was at a place and there was a sign. And the sign said, if buttholes could fly, this place would be an airport. Let's keep those buttholes on the ground. Thank you.
As I mentioned, right now we have the Section 8 talks about the compensation. It's kind of a gray area as to how far down that goes. That is something that we will look into and try to clarify down the road here. Is there any other person out there that has not submitted a slip that would like to speak today?
If not, can I make a motion?
Bob, please come to the mic. Bob Flowers.
Yeah,
Identify yourself, Bob.
I've been a member of the Breakfast Committee for
Bob,
a lot of years.
identify yourself, please.
My name's Bob Flower, and I've been a member of the Breakfast Committee for, 20 years, I guess. And I'd like to know who I pay for the free breakfast I've gotten every time I've fixed that.
Okay. The next meeting is April 17th. I didn't know that was a question. I thought he made a statement. Steve?
I will respond to you. Bob is not the chairman of the committee. I am. And I am the only chairman of the committee. The rule says the director, which is the chairman of the committee. You have never seen me eat breakfast.
So, just to add to that, as I mentioned, it does specifically refer to the directors. So, this is something that we're going to take a look at, and we may come back in the fall and try to come up with a decision as to how that gray area should be defined. It's not real clear right now. Obviously, there's things being done that could be questionable, and we need to research that further. That's all we have on the agenda. I would accept
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay, Jerry, a motion to adjourn. Randy, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries.